Okay, we're going to start this video. Now this video is all in how to set up a table for you to play a Tabletop Simulator Age of Sigmar game. This that we're using for the tutorial, which is also what we use for our Tabletop Simulator leagues run by Battleground Games and Hobbies, is going to be the Age of Sigmar 4th edition table. Where you can find this is under the Steam Workshop for Tabletop Simulator. I'm just going to wait for this to load. Right here, you're going to search either Age of Sigmar 4th edition table, or you can search for the creator Poro, which you'll know from our last video. He is also the same creator that worked on the 3D renders for the army building. So again, you'll just search for this, and once you search for it, you're going to subscribe. That will download the assets for your use in Tabletop Simulator. We're going to go back to it, and this is our table, our three-dimensional landscape that we're going to be playing a game in. To go over a couple of areas real quick, just to cover the bases. The first we have is going to be our scoring system. So you just have your primary score, your secondary score, etc. Left click is going to go up, right click is going to go down, and it goes by round. From there, we're actually going to go over, we have some assets laying on the table. Here's a couple of 3D measuring tools, some custom dice in case that's something that you feel like you want to use. For the sake of this, let's grab a... What dice looks good for Hellsmiths? Let's just go ahead and grab this one. And we're going to go ahead and take it over to a dice rolling tray, and we'll cover that in a second. This is going to be the red player, blue player on the map itself. So when one player is loaded in, players are going to pick a side. Once they're on that side, they're going to go ahead and go to saved objects and select their army, and they will drop it down on the table here. And remember, when dropping your army, left click will drop your army onto the table. You'll want to right click, otherwise future left clicks will duplicate your army on the table. It can get messy real quick. Once your army's down and your table side is selected, we're going to go on to a couple other sections here that we'll look at. So primary area that you're going to need to deal with is this is going to be your dice roller. In this dice roller area, it has all the things you need to do to execute what happens during the course of the game. Over here on your left side, this is the blue dice cam. So if your opponent is doing something, I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. We're going to see down here, this is the dice showing what your opponent's doing. We also have access to, on our own screen, just covering it, these are some buttons and how they are used. We're going to go over right now. But first and foremost, this little void, that is just a dice roller. So you can pick up your dice and drop them in there if you wish. We do not pick up the dice and shake them. We don't right click and select roll or R key roll with this app. This is all done for you, so the dice are going to be visually there, but you're not going to roll anything yourself. There's also a bunch of tokens for various states that you can make use of during the course of the game, whether they be +1 hit, +1 a wound, or a wound marker. Left click will go up, right click will go down. These are infinite made, so once you drag them out, they're just there. And a bunch of other things that you may find use of during the course of the game, but we also have some blank ones. So we can click on to this, and we can change it for any purpose that we want. Spawn point, anything like that. So we'll be able to have these tokens and make use of them during the game for any particular thing that's not otherwise represented by what we have here just up front. Next, going into the dice roller, we have a couple of options for generating the dice. So first I'll go about how you make a custom dice. Right now, this is just a general dice, creates 1d6 and puts it there. If I want to use a custom dice, what we're going to do is we're going to select custom dice. That will fix whatever dice we chose and puts here. Now this will appear as our dice for the rest of the time. So if that's something that's important to you, we can give you custom dice. So the first is these red buttons on the side here. These red buttons are all going to be denoting a certain value or number of d6s to generate. Go ahead and make 25 if you want to do that. You can right click up here. That'll clear the mat. So if you have a bunch of dice rolls and you want to start with fresh dice every time you roll, go ahead and do that. Above that, we have a input on how many dice you want to have. So you can go ahead and select that. Boom. And that's going to create the dice right on the mat for you in case there's a specific number that's not represented by any of these whole numbers for you. Then we have dice, we have buttons that are associated for a specific roll. So you can click charge. That's just going to roll 2d6 and give you a charge value. You can click run. It'll just give you a 1d6 roll for that. So that'll generate those. They're a different color just in case there's some reason that you need to track that. Again, we have batch dice rolling is an option. So first here we can clear the mat, roll all the dice. An ordered roll is for those situations in which you might need to know what order they came in. So let's roll all these dice. Oop, I clicked ordered roll. So for the ordered roll, this would be a 3, followed by a 3, followed by a 2, and then a 6 and a 4. Now I selected in 3s when I did this, so it tried to batch them up in case we needed to do something for that. So ordered roll is very nice. I don't really see there's a huge need for it in Age of Sigmar, but it's there just in case it does come up for a particular reason. Beyond that, we have our buttons down here. So let's select a batch of dice. So you have 10 dice. We're going to roll all these dice. Now, if you have an ability that's going to allow you to get some kind of an effect off of the hit roll, like auto wounds or extra hits, they're down here at the bottom. In Age of Sigmar, you're only going to ever get one effect off of a hit roll. You're going to have to choose, so you don't ever have anything that requires both at the same time. So if we go ahead and choose extra hits, it will generate 2 additional hits and have them batched in here for us to then go ahead and roll our next to wound roll or anything like that. This is going to be visually over there for your opponent. They'll see this just like the dice cam on the corner, so they'll be able to respond by zooming in here and not necessarily having to be on your side of the table and going back and forth. When it comes to rerolls, you have the very simple where we can pick it up, drop it in there, and that will reroll the dice for us. Or we can actually go to our buttons here on the side. Now the first row, the white row of buttons, these are going to be our rerolls. So if you left click here, this is going to reroll that row of dice. So I rerolled those and I happen to get unlucky and get double once again. Now if I right click, it will reroll that row and everything below it. So we go ahead and do this and boom, that's gone ahead and done this. Now don't worry about the fact that the dice do stack up when you reroll them. That's fine because they're all still tracked here even when they're on top of each other. We're going to see that right here. And there's a summary of what the dice values are right here for you to quickly assess. So the total number of dice is going to be on the left side. The actual value of those dice combined together will be on the right side. So that's helpful for anything that says you get 2d6 or 3d6 attacks. This is just going to give you the final number as a quick shortcut. So we've covered that the white row will cover your rerolls. Now we get into the red row is deleting anything. So if we have a situation where we left click, that will delete that row. If you right click, it'll delete that row and everything below it. So for the sake of conversation, let's say that our wound roll required 5s or 6s. So we can go ahead and right click and it will delete the 4s and the 1s that were below that. These are just quick hot buttons to make dice rolling pretty fast and efficient. You can go ahead and take care of all that. There's also an option here to copy blues dice in case you don't want to count out the dice. Your opponent just says, I've cleared everything. I've deleted the failures and what's left is all the successes. You can go ahead and copy his dice and here's what you have to work with for saves and that sort of thing. So that's going to be all of your effective maintenance stuff, your dice rolling, everything like that. We have a command point tracker right here on the right hand side the players can manipulate. Now it does not auto populate at the beginning of each round, so each player is going to have to add in their own command points. And next we have our battle tactics. So these are individual, each one represents all 6 battle tactics. You're just going to right click and you're going to select state for the particular tactic that you picked. So if we were master of the paths and let's say intercept and recover, boom, there we go. Those are up and those will be present for the rest of the game. You can click up and it will just zoom in for you right here to bring it up in case you're unfamiliar with that particular battle tactic. Also, you could hit Alt and that will just make a zoom in effect of it that's temporary. This will pop it up and keep it permanent though while you're doing things on the screen. So that's going to be how you set up your section of the table. Now let's go to the actual map area that we're going to deal with. So we need to generate a mission for this particular map. Right here, this is all of the missions that we have, but this is only going to cover the placement of the objectives in the deployment zone. It's not going to cover terrain. So we right click on this and we're going to go to state. Now we'll have to figure out which one we want to play. So let's say we're playing Noxious Nexus. I go ahead and click on 7. It's going to bring up a summary here so players can look at this directly during the course of the game, find out what they need to do, find out the placement of everything, and get their scoring for primary from this. Now we'll also see that on the table, the objective markers have already appeared. These objective markers are just going to be right there, and we are doing 7 of 13 for Noxious Nexus. So for deployment zones, we select 7, and that's going to give us our territories for the map. And as you'll see, this is reflective of the little mini map they give you. Now you're going to say, well, what about terrain? So we're going to go to the next point for terrain, and that will be right here. So what we do is we click Setup, and it just takes a quick second. The app is going to load up all the terrain. Nope, did it glitch out on me? Hold on. Oops, sorry. Sorry, it's not setup. That's my bad on this. It's place. So once you hit place, it will auto-populate the map with all of the terrain features for you. Now this doesn't include faction terrain, obviously. If you hover over a terrain feature, it's actually going to give you an expanded explanation of any of the keywords that apply to this. So currently we have forests. These forests have the obscuring keyword, and it does do an explanation of how obscuring works for that terrain feature. Same thing, obstacles right here. Place of power, which has obscuring. It does not go through the place of power explanation. That you're going to have to refer to the actual index on your general's handbook for that, or right here any of the document little cheat sheet things that they have lying around. And that is how you're going to generate a table for you to play Age of Sigmar in the Tabletop Simulator. Right now we have our armies arrayed, we've gone and set up the map, we've applied our objective markers, we have our scoring, and we have our tracking for the scoring here with our dice rolling trays and all of the counters that we could need for the course of the game. The next thing to happen is going to be players will deploy onto the map itself. You'll know that any deployment must occur 9 inches away from enemy territory. That's what your deployment zone will be here. Different maps are going to have different deployment territories. If we were to go ahead and change the Noxious Nexus to Pass of the Fae, we're going to go ahead and change the deployment zone. So this is 2 out of 13. Go to 2, and this is going to show us the different deployment map. Obviously, we'd also have to change our terrain layout to match what's in here if we were so inclined to do so. And that is going to be how you go ahead and do that. Now, one other thing to show you the players is that you can do a state on the model in order to apply a aura effect around the model. Now, that could be for you to track engagement range or any kind of an AoE that might apply for effects 9 inches or so. And that is how you set up and get ready to play a game. From that point on, you're just going to go ahead and move. One recommendation I do to make to players is to double check at the start of the game, select your army, right click, and then go to toggles. Just make sure you have measure movement on. Even if the check mark is there, uncheck it, check it again, just because there might be 1 or 2 models that for whatever reason that turned off. This means that when you pick up a model and you move it, there will be a tracker for the measurement for you. If you ever pick up a model and you are nervous, you just hit escape. It'll snap it back to the last position. This will not do that if you pick up the model and drop it. They won't be able to go back to the last place it was. So when you're moving your models, just keep that stuff in mind. You'll always want to have this tracker up. That way you and your opponent can always know where you started and how far you're moving. If as you move you don't put it down, you can back up. If you hit tab on top of a model and hold it down, it will snap to the closest point. It'll snap to the closest point of the model to the next model. So these 2 models have a 6.2 inch distance between them. These are 12, 13, so that helps for measuring any kind of ranges during the course of the game. And it also gives you like the most direct path in case you're worried about something obscuring or being in the way. This is going to show you that. So with that, that is basically just the gist of how you set up a table and get ready to play Age of Sigmar on Tabletop Simulator. So I'm going to stop this video, and hopefully you'll join us in our Discord server and sign up for the next Tabletop Simulator League that we run online, and find that this is a good resource for you to use during that time.